Scan it with your phone, with your browser, with your phone browser.
Actually, you need to scan it with your camera. Your phone camera will just scan it and take you to your browser.
Kindly scan it. Please. Mr. Olade, please, can you mute yourself? Okay, thank you. So scan the QR code and it will direct you to the pool questions. So this question is just to gauge our current knowledge on today's topic. And at the end of the day, the panelists will be able to give us more, an in-depth insight on what the topic entails. So if you are able to scan, please, can we react with thumb up? Oh, great. I can see just one reaction. If you're having issue, okay, great. I can see another reaction. Juliana. I need more reaction. I need more reaction. We are doing this together. We are all professionals. I have just 2 reactions. More reactions, please. Okay, Yazid Abdullah, you can unmute yourself. Oh, Judith, great. Please, let's do this quickly. Oh, Aderonke, fantastic. Latifa, fantastic, yeah. Let the reaction keeps flying, let it keeps flying. Okay, Abdullah, you have a question? I can see your hands up. Yazid Abdullah. Can you unmute yourself? Probably. Okay, more reactions. You're great. Okay. At this point, can we kickstart the pool question? Can we have the pool question? Okay. So, Oshina, great. So, NRS E-Invoicing Awareness and Readiness Survey. Okay, so the first question: what is your organization's current level of awareness of Nigeria Revenue Service E-Invoicing? Very familiar, somewhat familiar, heard about it but unclear, not aware at all. So can we select our option? 2, where is your organization in its e-invoicing readiness journey? Where is your organization in its e-invoicing readiness journey? Not started, exploring requirements, planning implementation, already implementing, fully compliant. So let's select our option for question 2. Can we have question 3? Okay. What is your biggest challenge in preparing for e-invoicing compliance? Understanding regulatory requirements, system/ERP integration, data accuracy and standardization, budget or resource constraints, choosing the right solution or vendor. What is your biggest challenge in preparing for e-invoicing? What is your biggest challenge? Is it understanding the regulatory requirements, Is it the system and ERP integration? Is it data accuracy and standardization? Is it budget or resource constraint, or choosing the right solution / vendor? So let's select our option for question 3. Don't worry, we'll display the results at the end of the question. Okay, question 4. Can we have question 4? Question 4, please. Okay, question 4. Which function will be most impacted in our organization? Finance or tax? Finance / tax, IT / system, sales / operation, compliance / risk, all of the above. Okay, question 5. How are you planning to implement e-invoicing? Build in-house solution, use a third-party provider, upgrade existing ERP? Not decided yet. You can give us question 6 because of time. When do you expect your organization to be ready? Within 3 months, 4 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months? Not sure. Next question. What would be most helpful for you today? Regulatory clarity, technical integration guidance, vendor solution comparison, implementation roadmap? After this section, how confident are you about preparing for NRS e-invoicing? Very confident, somewhat confident, still unsure, need further support? Question 9, please.
I think that's the last question.
Oh, that's the last question. Interesting. So thank you very much for your participation. So we can already see the response coming, and this gives us a good sense of the diverse experience levels we have in this room today. So I would like to hand over to our main panelist for today, in person of Mr. Olumide Akinshola. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me loud and clear, that I am very audible. There are no disruptions. Okay, excellent. I can see all the thumbs up coming through. Thank you so much for joining this talk. And thank you to the efficacy team for putting this together. I'm always excited when I see an opportunity to sort of provide a lot more clarity around e-invoicing and how it works generally. But before I go into that, please allow me, I hope that I can share my screen. If that is possible, let me share my screen from here and do a quick presentation. I do have a deck, but I have managed to shrink it into a one-pager so that it's easy to quickly go through. My goal is to first provide some clarity around what the invoicing policy is and how it works. And then I will show you specifically what's the tool that you can use as an ERP itself to generate invoices. I will show you what it looks like and how it works and all the features that it has and stuff like that. I will do like an actual demo. And then if we have anyone who has any questions following that, I will take those questions in attempts to provide clarity and shed as much light as possible into this whole thing. So the first thing that I'd like to say is my name is Olumide. I lead the country team at Rev360 Technology. Rev360 Technology are the largest e-invoicing service providers on the continent today. We have operations in Kenya, in Zambia, in Nigeria now. We are in South Africa in Q3, latest early Q4. We're in Ghana very soon as well, Botswana, Namibia, a bunch of other places. My point is, e-invoicing is not new to other locations and other globally, in the global context. There are other countries that have had e-invoicing for several years. Europe, for instance, even outside of Africa, Europe, for instance, has something called the PEPO protocol. That is their own e-invoicing policy, the backbone of it, where it is already active and has been active for years. There is e-invoicing in India, in China, that's been in Ghana for like a year and a half or two, that's been in Kenya for like 3 years, it's been in Zambia, it's in South Africa, it's in Botswana, it's in Uganda, it's in Tanzania, it's in Egypt, it's in most countries. The only challenge we have here is that it is extremely new in Nigeria. So it's not new globally, it's new in Nigeria. In fact, the Nigerian version of the e-invoicing policy is almost a direct copy of what they do in India. So that said, there is still the need for education within the Nigerian space to sort of get people to understand how the e-invoicing thing works. Why do you even need to do e-invoicing? What are the advantages that e-invoicing gives to you as a business or as a professional? How does it benefit your company? And why should you get on it ASAP? So that is what I want to some of the other elements of the e-invoicing and also show you what those look like. So first of all, why e-invoicing? So the first reason is transparency and traceability. But before I jump into it, let me first also explain it very clearly in terms of a lot of us still know them, or probably still know them as the NRS. They have decided, just as it's been done in other places in the world, like I said, that every time you as a business, you raise an invoice for somebody to pay you in your business, that is your sales invoices. Every time you raise those invoices, you need to transmit it to them for fiscalization before those invoices are consummated, before you are paid for it. They need to fiscalize it using their system. So they have now built a platform called the Merchant Buyer Solution Platform. So that platform, every business is supposed to go on that platform and sign off for the e-invoicing. What that means is that you're going in that platform and the e-invoicing platform, the MBS, Merchant Buyer Solution Platform, and then you're creating an account for your business using that identification number, right? When you create that account, then your profile and ERP. So even if you don't have an ERP, to send to customers to pay you. So maybe in some cases it could be Zoho or it could be QuickBooks. In some more advanced cases, maybe you use Microsoft Dynamics, maybe the Business Suite or whichever other version. Maybe you use Oracle NetSuite. Maybe you use Sage. Any version of the Sage. Maybe you use what's that other popular one? D365 Sage, SAP. Maybe you use SAP. Whatever ERPs that you use, your profile on the ERP and your profile on the Merchant Buyer Solution need to be communicating. So when an invoice is raised on your ERP, in fact, even if you're using Excel, when an invoice is raised, you need to transmit it to your to the NRS. It sits in your account on the NRS platform. You and the NRS both have access to that invoice that has been raised. This is where Digitax comes in, because Digitax is a platform or is the tool that facilitates communication between those two platforms, right? And it's not just us who do this business. There's other Nigerian companies who do this. We are just the best at it. But other Nigerian companies have also been licensed to do this business as well. There's about 60 companies who are able to perform this function for you in Nigeria right now. And in those 60 companies, some of us are licensed to be a system integrator. Some are licensed as only an access point provider. While some of us are licensed to function as both. What do I mean? So there's two licenses, two very different functions that are involved in the transmission of information between your ERPs, your profile of your ERPs, and your accounts on the Merchant Buyer Solution Platform, the MBS platform of the NRS. The function number one is the system integration. This is assuming that you already have an ERP that you use. So maybe you have Zoho Books, or you have QuickBooks, or you have SAP, or you have Sage, or whatever. The system integration function is the function that configures that your ERP to carry the information that the NRS wants. It formats the invoices that your ERP also generates so that they are in the right format and in the right schema that the FRS have mandated. Then there's a secondary function that is the access point provider function, which then picks up an already configured invoice and transmits it to the account on the NBS on your behalf. Very straightforward, two functions. The function of one is formatting and configuration of your ERPs to generate the right invoices. The second function is the access point provider function, which functions to transmit invoices from one platform to the other. Those two functions carry two different licenses where the NRS is concerned. And the process of getting those licenses is very strenuous because they want to see your capabilities, the tools that you have built, what you have done before, your data protection capacities, your technical integration capacities. All of these things are very important before the NRS gives you that license. So that journey to procure a license simply takes you through the NITDA, the NDPC, the NRS, a bunch of other. So that is a simple breakdown of what you call the e-invoicing system, right? A system that allows for your invoices as they are being generated to be transmitted to the NRS on your behalf of fiscalization so that the NRS sees them. And what are some of the benefits of having this system set up? So one is transparency and traceability. So there is a clear audit trail for all invoices, for all your transactions that you use as a company, which means that the days in which somebody walks up to your office and brings a letter from the FRS and the NRS and says, oh, you are owing 150,000 billion. Those days are now over because now you know exactly how much your exposure is in terms of taxes. And then you're able to just download the report and make that payment and keep it moving. The second function, which is also important, is voluntary compliance, which means that structured data, it makes it simply easy, for you to comply correctly one time, right? So if you have structured data of invoices that are coming through, how they are being transmitted, the amounts that they carry, the VAT allocation on those invoices, and then when we get to that point, the WHT allocation on those invoices, all of those things, it just means that you are automatically compliant. You don't need any special effort to get to compliance as a business. Once you get those things set up, your compliance is super easy and super straightforward to get to. Now, the third benefit is that it reduces VAT gap. So real-time validation, it narrows the gap between VAT that you have collected and VAT that you have remitted. So your VAT inputs and your VAT outputs now become closer and easier to track because there is a track record or a trail of invoices that you are raising and invoices that you are sending out as well, so that you can net off. And I want to mention here that one of the benefits starting now of the e-invoicing platform, or one of the policies that is guiding the invoicing rollout starting now, is that if your invoices were not transmitted through the NBS to the NRS, you are unable to claim VAT inputs. Simple and straightforward, right? So if you do not adopt this thing, you are actually losing money in real time because you can't claim your VAT inputs, VAT in credit, and you can't net off what you are supposed to make in payments in VAT. The fourth benefit is efficiency and cost savings, right? You are able to automate your workflows. So once you do that integration that I talked about, system integration, access point provider, once you do that, the workflows get automated. When your ERP generates an invoice, it is automatically transmitted to the NRS. All of these paper trail, all of these audit trail, electronic audit trail that I've spoken about are automatically happening and they automatically come into scope. And then it automatically makes sure that your operations are more efficient because you don't have to focus too much on like printing paper or transmitting whatever. One of the other benefits of this invoicing also is real-time data exchange. What does that mean? So today, when you generate an invoice for another company, it's in a B2B transaction, you have to download that invoice, attach it to an email or send it, or you have to print it, and send it to that other company so that they can action that invoice. What the invoicing does now is that it allows for automatic real-time exchange. So when you generate an invoice, you put another business's tax identification number on that invoice because that invoice is meant for them. When you send it to the NBS has a system that delivers it automatically to that person on the other side, as long as they are also compliant. So at scale, when compliance and adoption has been significantly reached, what happens is that there's an ecosystem for transmission of invoices back and forth from one user or from one business to another without you having to do it manually. And the NRS immediately fiscalizes any invoice that has been sent to them. So what are the different levels in terms of maturity of tax administration as has been seen all over the world and is also aspirational for Nigeria as well? Okay, so there are 5 basic levels to the tax administration maturity. We are still, I think, somewhere between level 2 and level 3 in Nigeria. We have been pushing this for the past 6 months or 9 months or so. So it's understandable that we haven't made progress up to level 5. So level 1 is imagine what we used to have, which is manual processes, generate your invoices manually, limited digital infrastructure. You still keep papers inside files of your invoices and such, of your ledgers and stuff like that, so that when you're doing an audit or when the NRS themselves show up to come and do an audit, they have to bring out your files and your paper and all of these things. That is manual basic level. The second level is progressing level where you are now reactive. So you have digital systems in place. So you have e-invoicing policy. You have a system integrator that is connected and that is integrated to the ERP. You have all of these things set up, but there's still a bit some partial adoption, which means that you are still reactive to compliance failures because a lot of people are not fully compliant. So even if you are compliant, you need the businesses that you are doing businesses to also be compliant for you to get the full extent of the benefits of this policy. So we are in between stage 2 and 3 now, and stage 3 is an established level where you are now proactive. This is where the NRS is targeting that Nigeria will get to over the next couple of months. The invoicing has been mandated. We are seeing wide adoption amongst different cohorts, because also something to mention here is that there's 3 cohorts of taxpayers as defined by the NRS. The first cohort is a large taxpayers defined by companies who do 5 billion and above in gross revenue in turnover annually. The second level is the middle taxpayer guys. That is companies that do between 1 billion and 5 billion in tax revenue annually. And then the third, not in tax revenue, in total revenue annually for their business. And then the third level is the emerging guys, anyone that does 1 billion and below in total turnover annually is considered emerging. 3 categories. The e-invoicing policy still focuses on the first category, and we have seen significant adoption amongst that first category of customers. There is customers that are doing 5 billion and above in total turnover on an annual basis. And so that is where we are, but we can see more adoption. They are pushing for even more adoption as we go with this e-invoicing thing. So that is where we are. And then when we get to the 4th level, it's integrated level, which means seamless integration, real-time data exchange, and then you have sophisticated analysis from the top down, right? What this means is that you are now able, when adoption is significant, maybe we get to like 95% adoption across the business space in Nigeria, you are now able to send invoices from one person to another automatically. Your VAT is being calculated automatically. You have all of these other clarity that you didn't have before when we used to use paper. And you have data, different kinds of analytics within your business as a result of your adoption of that e-invoicing policy, different kinds of data that then allow you to take better business decisions as business leaders within your organizations, right? And within even the teams that make up your organizations. The clarity is there. The audit trail is there. Everything is super simple, super simplified. Also, at some point where we are going to with this actual rollout is that at some point in the future, we are not there yet, but at some point in the future, raising your invoices, transmitting those invoices to the NRS, raising a schedule to file your VAT, updating your VAT onto tax formats, and then paying your VAT to the government. All of this will happen on the same platform from API calls. So what will happen is that tax formats, and those conversations are currently happening right now with the NRS, tax formats will be unbundled. So, and offered as APIs. So you can connect to it from your ERP directly if you have a system integrator. If you have like Digital, for instance, who have configured your ERP, we can connect to the tax format APIs and offer it to you on your ERP through the integration that you've done for e-invoicing. So that when you are clicking you just need to click a button to raise a schedule and file and upload those schedules to tax formats right directly from inside your Sage or from inside your QuickBooks or whatever other ERPs that you use. We are not there yet, like I said. We are still somewhere between level 2 and 3 in terms of trying to get adoption to go up. So that's where we are. Then in the fifth level of it is aspirational, which is where now, as a government, you now have economy-wide data ecosystems where you can see which sector is doing the most numbers, which sector needs the most help to grow because the numbers that they are doing is separate. Which state, which city, which local governments, which this place, which that place, all kinds of data analytics from a government perspective that can now help them take better decisions. It pretty much makes the problems that Nigeria have to be a lot more clearer. It makes them more clear when you have the data that actually show you where the opportunities are and where the problems are. And then government as a whole from a zoomed out level, able to now take decisions that help to make those easier. So those are the 5 stages of maturity level. I'm trying to rush through this because there is no time. Okay, so yes, I see the comments that says tax programs will be, yes, Rev360 will be the new platform. And then that whole discontinuance of tax programs and moving up to Rev360 is one of the first steps. So when you get to Rev360, then Rev360 is decoupled and offered as API. So if you have Digitax, for instance, when we get to that point, Digitax connects to that Rev360 and offers you Rev360 from inside your ERP so that you are able to do your filings and such directly from Rev360. So that is also part of what I was talking about. So thank you very much for bringing that up, Mr. Michael. So compliance regulatory requirements, the VAT Act mandate has already been implemented. So every taxable person making taxable comply, even as a business, must issue an invoice. So failure is 50% cost penalty on cost of the goods. Non-issuance, unauthorized issuance of invoice is a criminal offense under the VAT Act. FRS is empowered to deploy technology to automate tax administration and give 30 days notice to taxpayer. And then compliance pillars, of course, mandatory exemption related. So all of these things are things that you have to go. Basically. Yeah. You have the to compliance as a tool, ease of refund processing, again, speaking to VAT refunds, improve transparency, fraud risk reduction, because now you have technology enabling you to provide or to have a clear trail of your transactions and such. So nothing can be hidden again, right? And then you don't need to bribe anybody for you to be compliant. Also cost savings, because all of these things, business efficiency ensures that they are saving costs and maximizing profit. Ease of data recovery means that all you need to do to get an invoice, instead of going to sift through multiple mountains of files to find a particular invoice, you just need to log on to your ERP and type the invoice reference number of any invoice, which it will now have as a result of the invoicing compliance. And your ERP will pull that invoice out for you automatically, immediately in microseconds. You don't have to open any file. Improved compliance, like I mentioned, means that the compliance is not easy as concerned. Also, environmental impact, if you want to think about that, because you are using less paper, and using less paper helps us save the environment so that Lagos can get less hot and humid, right? If you use less paper, we don't have to cut down many trees, and this means that it has a positive impact on the environment as well, this invoicing. It reduces the cost of also mentioned, it improves cash flow, because if you are able to claim VAT inputs, you are able to optimize your cash flow, keep some cash within your business instead of just throwing it away by not being able to claim VAT inputs. It reduces errors as well, like I also mentioned earlier. It also lessens your tax audit burden because there's already a trail. You don't need to download the report, and that's it. You can just file your taxes and such. And then, of course, seamless interoperability within different businesses, because it creates a clear audit trail of all the transactions and everything. So the technology teams are able to interact better with the finance team and the administrative team and all of these other things within an organization. What are some of the challenges and what are some of the next steps? The legal barrier and legislative gaps have been plugged. So now there is a legislative backing. It's actually backed by an act of the National Assembly that has been signed into law by the president, which means that we are able to now go ahead and implement without thinking that somebody is trying to take advantage of it. Technical infrastructure, training and stakeholder adoption, that is part of why we are having this call, so that we can talk through what the policy is. Technical infrastructure, that is where DigiTax comes in, because we are able to create, also bring infrastructure that has worked in other countries for the last 3 years, to also bring them today in Nigeria, which we have been doing. We have about 80 customers in Nigeria right now and growing, and we partner with some of the biggest, some of the largest tax or accounting service providers in Nigeria to offer this service to their customers. So we are partners with Deloitte, we are partners with KPMG, we are partners with PwC, we are partners with Fovis Mazars and a bunch of other guys who do this thing. We help them solve this problem of e-invoicing, and to also provide clarity where e-invoicing is concerned to their current customer base. ERP integration complexity is also one of the challenges, which is also where we come in. So we have expertise in-house on different ERPs. The ones that we don't have, we have consultants who we work with who are ERP consultants who are able to advise on how to implement and integrate your ERPs to ensure that they are communicating with the MBS platform as well. And then, of course, implementation costs, which we can always have a conversation about. But I mean, you have to think that that's also a challenge. But people don't want to pay for this service. But again, we also at DigiTax are just a small company trying to do business and keep the lights on. So our services does cost a token, which you have to pay for us to be able to service all the tools and to ensure that you have the service that is functional and ready whenever you need for it to be. What is the role of tax consultants? People like Efficacy and such. So they partner with FRS on digital transformation. We also facilitate these partnerships as well, because we sit somehow in the middle between tax consultants and the FRS as technical partners and implementation partners as well. So we're able to facilitate this conversation back and forth. So when somebody has an issue in terms of they don't understand how they need to set up, how they need to optimize their systems to be able to comply and such, we are able to answer some of their questions, or the tax partners, tax consultants ask us the questions when it comes to the technical bits, and we're able to advise. Anything that is confusing, we can go straight to the NRS to go and ask the customer that has this specific issue. What do you think they should do it? And then they advise. And so tax consultants also, as a result, begin to develop deep invoicing expertise, which we have seen. So they are also able to now talk better to the policy as well. And then, of course, continuous training. The tax consultants are also able to support clients' ERP integration by explaining to them how this policy works, because they've also learned it. They explain it to their customers and then are able to hold their customers' hands through all of these things. They also offer, of course, audit and reporting support. A lot of tax consultants already do this service for these customers. So they are able to now think of that service in relation to e-invoicing and ensure that they are offering tax and audit support, right? And so in terms of next steps, if you come to us and say, look, I want to be compliant, what we do then is what you have to do in terms of compliance from an invoicing perspective is first to select and assess your readiness first. What ERP do I use? How many invoices do we do on an annual basis or monthly basis? What are some of the skills that we have in-house? What are some of the gaps that we have? Do we have an ERP consultant who can work with us on this integration, or do we need to get somebody to do it? And then you look at all the NRS approved SI solutions and APP solutions providers, and you choose the one that works best for you, that has the best system that closely fits or that will closely tie into your readiness in terms of an ERP and skills and gaps that you have within your organization. And then you implement, of course, you engage all stakeholders and teams, so finance teams, tax teams, technical teams in some cases, management teams, all kinds of things. In some cases, even sales teams, because I mean, they also go out and bring in transactions. All teams, most of the time, have to understand how this invoicing thing works so that they can get the working the way that they should, at least in the early days after the integration is done. And then, of course, as the regulations evolve, you begin to adapt. Months ago, while we were pushing this, customers, because we have taken that they give from a technical perspective and use it to build a boss system. The system, the instruction that gives Please give a thumbs up if you can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Okay, thank you. Excellent. Maybe lost everybody like 30 minutes ago. Anyway, so so then you implement regulatory monitoring, and then of course you adapt to the regulations. But I was going to give an example of that. That's 3 months ago, we didn't support multi-currency. You could only raise invoices in Naira. But about a month ago, the NRS instructed us to add other currencies to the support on the APIs and the technical implementation side. So now we can transmit invoices that are raised in USD, in pounds, in Japanese yen, or Chinese yuan, whatever, or any currency. Almost every currency in the world is now supported. So again, the regulations itself evolve and they take on more things. Again, part of the example again is that 3 months ago we didn't support PEPO protocol, but now you support the PEPO protocol. So if you want to send money overseas, you still can report that transaction as well through the PEPO protocol, stuff like that. So the regulation itself evolves, the capabilities evolve. For now, the e-invoicing only speaks to VAT, but in the future, if I were almost there, in the future, it will speak to withholding tax as well, so that you are able to now report both VAT and withholding tax using that e-invoicing solution. They are building the system that calculates withholding tax per sector and different takes into cognizance all the different variables in the different sectors as well, so that the system also is robust. And a lot of this system will be patched together so that they can raise an invoice and the invoice can calculate the withholding and also the VAT. We are not there yet, but we will get there very soon. Again, that is just an example of how the regulations can evolve to take on more responsibility from a technical perspective, just to make your tax compliance and your audit trail creations easier and smoother as well for you as a company as well. So thank you very much. I think that I have managed to run through all of the context that's involved in this thing so far. If anyone has any questions, I don't know what the cadence is for asking questions, but I think I want to take a pause now, if I can, before we then go into the demo of the digital dashboard as well, just sort of show you what this system looks like in actual practice if you are trying to raise and transmit an invoice as a business to the NRS. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Lumide. I can see someone raising his hand. Olajide Secure. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Olajide Secure. Ifedakpo Ajayi, please can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. All right, great. Good evening. Sorry, where I am is quite evening, but thank you everyone for this presentation. I really appreciate it. My only question is this: I want to believe that any partnership between any company and DigiPay, Digitact, pardon me, is most likely confidential information will be shared. I mean, talking about revenues of the companies and all. And I just want to confirm if, regarding data protection, data Digitax is paying attention to that, whether they have the audit mark, because this is what, like a preliminary question that companies or businesses want to look at before they start sharing information or partnering with DigiPay, bringing up their API and all those things. All right, thank you. I'll pick up my question.
Yes, I think I get it. We are asking about data protection and also confidentiality provisions within the service provider landscape that enables companies to trust that the service provider that they have chosen will not misuse their data. Is that the question? Am I right? Mr. Ifedapo. Okay, excellent. So first of all, you are right to flag this. So this is why I think I hinted earlier. There's layers of trust that involve this. Layers of trust, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So as a company, before you get the license to be able to offer this service, you have to go through the NITDA, the NDPC, and the NRS. Go through different kinds of validation and acquire certificates from each of these agencies, right? So that is the government ensuring that the NITDA checks your systems, makes sure that your APIs, your technical implementation is solid, and that your systems are using the latest grade of encryption so that even you can't be hacked. For systems that are using the latest grade of encryption, you need to have ISO 27001, which speaks to data protection. You need to have ISO 22301, which speaks to business continuity. For you to be able to qualify, even provisionally, to be able to get these licenses to be able to function as either a system integrator and an access point provider. The NDPC ensures that your system complies with data protection policies. So NDPC means Nigerian Data Protection Agency. And this means Nigerian technological forgotten the full meaning of it, sir. Nigerian Technology Development Agency, right? So you have the right systems, and you have the right tools, and you have the right certificates and encryption, all of these things. All of these are high-grade encryption protocols that offer proper security. The NDPC ensures that you have all the licenses from a data protection perspective, and that all your processes are taking data protection into cognizance. And then you yourself then have to prove that they have gone through all of the checks with these agencies, and that you also have the systems to be able to offer this solution at a robust level to the NRS. So those three organizations do like this proper screening. There's a reason that there's less than 100 companies who are doing this in Nigeria right now, even though the business landscape has about 40 million or 30 million businesses, because it's very difficult to scale through all of those processes before you are able to offer the license to be able to perform that function. And then there's an extra layer of security, which is your own tax consultants, which is efficacy in this case, right? Well, the reason that we are here is because efficacy brought us together. So the efficacy guys also come to us, and they also look at what we provide, and they also do their own checks and tests as well to make sure that their customers are not exposed. And so when efficacy comes to you and says we are partners with Digitax and offering e-invoicing, it means that they are telling you that Digitax can be trusted. We are putting our reputation as a company, as efficacy, behind what Digitax offers, and telling you that you should trust us, as you have always trusted us to do your books, to look at your transactions, to help you with reporting and tax advisory and all these things. We are saying to you that you should trust us because we have trust in Digitax, and we have looked at what they offer, and we think that these things are that you will be protected, and your interests are protected, and none of your data will leak or will be hacked or whatever. And so when I say that there's different levels or different layers of trust, this is what I mean, because it's also important to ensure that customers trust you in that way as well. I don't know if that answers your question.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I got it.
Thank you, Mr. Olumide. I can see another hand here. Olajide Sikiru. Do you have a question, Olajide Sikiru? Olajide Sikiru, can you unmute yourself? You are muted. If you want to speak, please unmute yourself. You are muted. You are muted. Can you unmute yourself?
We can't hear you, sir, Mr. Olajide Sikiru. You need to unmute. See. We can't unmute you from there. So you need to unmute so that we can hear if you are talking, that is, because we can see that your hand is up.
Maybe you should drop your question in the chat box.
Okay, you can also do that.
I think
so
we
can just leave the questions in the chat box. I can read through and answer those questions one by one.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so at this point, I think we can have our pool results so that the lead consultants of Efficacy Professional Service, Akinlewe, can speak to each of the questions that have been asked so far. So can we have the pool results? So Mr. Akinlewe comes in. Oh, Mr. Olajide, are you back?
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Olajide.
Please, Mr. Olajide, please, can you? Okay. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Mr. Olumide Akinshola, and I believe participants are well informed, or they are on their path to be getting more informed about what e-invoicing is all about. So looking at the result of the poll that we displayed earlier, we understand that a lot of people are actually aware about NRS invoicing. Some people heard about it, about 40% heard about it, but they are unclear about what it is. And that is one of the reasons why Efficacy, in collaboration with Digitas, is organizing this webinar to bring to our attention, or to make us aware what e-invoicing is all about. As Mr. Olumide has rightly mentioned, there's going to be a system integrator and there's going to be an assessment provider where our invoice is going to be transmitted through. Like for instance, if we have our accounting software, whether Sage, QuickBooks, or what have you, we are going to be integrating this software through an assessment provider that will now be transmitting the invoice we issued through this invoice.
Through a system, you integrate the software through a system integrator. It's a common mistake. So
okay.
I'll let you just provide that clarity.
Yes. So and this is going to be transmitted to the NRS. And this will bring about a lot of transparency and all of that. So why people that are even familiar don't really know how to go about it. About 20% of people on this call are not even aware at all. And I mean, so you can speak to Efficacy Professional Services after this session, because again, this solution has been implemented for large businesses, and they've even started enforcement in this April. So we understand that they are gradually moving to a medium-sized company, which is company between 1 billion and 5 billion. They are already moving there, and we believe that with this solution in place, we can assist. Please, can you move to the next question? Hello, please, can you move to the next results? Okay. We also understand that a lot of people are not ready for this solution. As we can see, 50% of people on this call are still exploring the requirements. I mean, so what are the requirements for integrating this e-invoicing solution? I mean, so some of the requirements is that are you a large company, are you a medium-sized company, or are you a small company? You can even voluntarily comply with this regulation, because in all, at the end of the day, everybody will still have to be in this e-invoicing solution. Again, about 10% are still planning implementation, and 10% are already implementing. And why 30% have not even started at all? Like Olumide has rightly mentioned, obviously there are some implementation costs, but it depends depending on the number of invoices that we issue in a year and even per day. So I mean, we have some people, they just issue few invoices and obviously they are cashing out. And for that kind of people, the implementation cost might not be a lot, even though there are some base costs for that kind of. So when it comes to cost, I mean, so we don't have any cost to be afraid about the implementation cost. And For the people that are still exploring the requirements, I mean, you can speak to tax consultants and even the tech guys about what are the requirements for you to be onboarded on this e-invoicing solution. Please, can we move to the next result, please? Also, what are the biggest challenge in preparing for this e-invoicing compliance? I think one of the biggest challenge people are having is that how are we going to even understand the regulation? What kind of system or ERP integration do we even need? And to be honest, I mean, even ordinary QuickBooks, Sage, even Zoho Books, I mean, and other proprietary accounting software that even have like open source. They are even allowed to be integrated into this solution. So I know that this accounting software sometimes can be a bit pricey, but the point is we have some of them that are well affordable, and this solution even accommodates them. So again, some people talks about data accuracy and standardization. So I think Olumide has spoken to this before now, where we have a lot of license issued to this system integrator and even assessment provider before you can even get this license. So I don't think this should be an issue. But again, this challenge, we are here to work with you to be able to overcome all of this challenge. So please, can we go to the next solution? Okay. What function will be most impacted in your organization? Can I see the result of the poll? Yes, so the function that we think will be most impacted, about 40 people chose that is going to be impacted by all of the above, and that's just the simple truth. It's going to affect the sales, the compliance, and even the tax and regulatory units. Yes, because the finance and tax are going to be the custodian of the system, of the software. Why for the sales operation? I mean, for a lot of companies that have not been inserting tax in their invoice now, they will have to start explaining to them that, okay, these things are not even being monitored. These things are now being transmitted real time to the Nigerian Revenue Service. Why the compliance risk? Of course, we are aware about what the penalty can be if we do not comply. And in fact, it is even a daily penalty for non-compliance. Even when you not even comply, there's a penalty for not using it. So because I know that in Nigeria, we are very, very smart. We can say, okay, I've complied. Okay, so can you come and force me to come and start using it? But I'm happy to tell you that there are some penalty for not using it. So invariably, all of the above are actually going to be impacted when it comes to this function in the organization. Please, can we move to the next result of the poll? Again, how are we planning to implement the e-invoicing? A lot of people have not even decided yet. I mean, so that is to tell us that there is a lot of work in our hands. I mean, as a tax consultant, as an expert, Digitax, and every other person, because a lot of people have not decided on how we want to even implement it. And I can tell you, this thing has actually come to stay. The earlier, the better, if you ask me, because there's a time when the enforcement are now going to be coming with a lot of enforcement. Yeah, and some people are planning to build in-house solution, and why some people are using third-party provider, and some people are upgrading their existing ERP. Well, that is also a fantastic idea, but your ERP alone will not be enough until you are able to collaborate with system integrator, your tax consultant, and the access point provider. So for people that are planning to build in-house solution, I mean, that means you might be looking to also get a license, so which I think might be a bit onerous for people to access because of some regulatory satisfaction that you need to do. Please, can we go to the next question? Also, when do you expect your organization to be ready? Well, a lot of people are not even sure when they're expecting their organization to be ready. So, but I can tell you, if you are a decision maker and you are on this call, and I think the time for you to be ready is now, because again, like the earlier presentation has said, it brings about transparency, it brings about accuracy of data, because a lot of people are actually not accurate in their accounting process. Like for instance, some people even report VAT collected as part of their revenue, which is not supposed to be. And this system is going to help you to do a lot of that. And some people choose between 6 to 12 months. Well, you still have time if you are a small business. I mean, a small business business between 100 million and below. Yes, if you are still a small business, compliance has not actually really got into you, but you can actually comply voluntarily between 6 to 3 months. Well, if you are a medium-sized company, looking as per the regulation, which is company that earns between 5 billion and 1 billion. Yeah, a medium-sized company. Yeah, you may still have the luxury of time between 3 to 6 months. Within 3 months, for a large company, you don't even have time. I mean, so within 3 months, you need to comply, because enforcement has actually started this month. Yes, so because they've given you some time between January and March to start compliance. Yeah, please, can we go to the next results of the poll? The question is, what would be the most helpful for you today? Today, 50% of people. Please, can you scroll down a bit? Let me see the result of the poll. Yeah, regulatory clarity. Like Olumide has rightly mentioned before now, Section 23 of Nigerian Tax Administration Act actually clearly speaks about e-invoicing, because in this case it mandates all taxable person to implement this e-invoicing solution, particularly for VAT collection. Like the earlier speaker said, we are still bringing, the NRS is still bringing this closer to collection of WHT, withholding tax. But right now, it is strictly for the collection of withholding tax, VAT. But the question again is, you want to ask, what if my products and my goods and services are VAT exempted? They also want to use it to monitor your revenue. So the regulatory part is that it is actually a mandated solution for every taxable person to implement. Another set of people, about 40% of people said the technical integration guidance, the vendor solution comparison. Yeah, I believe Olumide has been talking about the technical and integration guidance, and of which is going to take us through like a practical demonstration, because like this session, we are unpacking everything about e-invoicing solution. We're even going to do like a demonstration of how this is going to work. If you have implemented, or if you are planning to implement e-invoicing solution. Please, can we move to the next result? I think that should be the last results. So after this session, how confident will you be to prepare for NRS e-invoicing? Well, yes. Yeah, I believe after this session, a lot of people should be confident. About 40% said they are going to be confident. I think we should have 100% here, because we have experts talking to us about e-invoicing. So I believe even in the first session, you already have a lot of knowledge about what e-invoicing is all about. So thanks to the 40%, thanks to everyone who has taken this poll seriously. Some people said they are going to be somewhat confident, while some people said they are still going to be unsure. I don't think you should still be unsure after this session, because we are going to be breaking it down. We are going to be demystifying everything about e-invoicing. Thank you for taking this session. So we are going to be moving to the next session, which is going to be like a practical demonstration of what e-invoicing is all about. How is it going to work as a business? How are we going to be issuing that invoices? How is it going to be transmitted from our own access point to the NRS system? So, which is quite important for us to understand in this session. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kinley. Thank you for that insightful presentation. Thank you. So we also want to give room for questions and answers. So if there are any questions, please can you just signify by raising your hand up, or you can also drop your question in the chat box before we move to the next section. Okay, there is a technical documentation NG does in the chat box. Mr. Olumide, please can you just speak to this so that we can know what the link is meant for?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to start my next set of presentations from this, but I also wanted to put the link in the comment section so that people know that they can click through to that link right away to read extensively on this invoice. Whether you're a technical person or a non-technical person, it doesn't matter. The documentation is pretty comprehensive. It describes every single function. It describes a technical tool in normal language that is easy to understand. It talks about each of the access points, the system integration and the access point. There are diagrams. In fact, just let me share my screen so that I can talk us through. Is that okay? I can talk us through that. Okay, thank you. So if you go to, just confirm that you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Thumbs up if you can see my screen, please. Okay, excellent. So this is our own Digitax, our information repository for everything e-invoicing. If you are entirely new to e-invoicing and you don't know how it works, you don't understand anything at all about the e-invoicing, if you go to that link, ng.docs.digitax, I'll check this link at the top, you can immediately see it will bring you to this page. Now, this page, you can begin to click on this side, right? Read up on every single detail, right? In English, it says, you know, the National Revenue Service Nigeria Tax Authority, blah, blah, blah. You've got the financial, all the details that you need to know in terms of background. And then APPs and SI, Introduction to Access Point Providers and System Integrators. You understand what each person does, how it works, blah, blah, blah. All of that, all of the details. In fact, there's only a table that shows you the difference between an access point provider and a system integrator. You can understand all of this. You don't need to have any prior knowledge. Just read through this document. And then it also tells you how the invoice exchange works. You know, when you create an invoice, how it gets transmitted, all of those things. And then, of course, also talks through e-invoice and invoice factoring, all of those other details as well. And then it shows you e-invoice details as contained on the API. This is what a sample of an invoice that has been fiscalized through this process looks like. Here, if you look here, you can see that at the top right corner here, there is a QR code, and at the top left corner, you can see an IRN. IRN means invoice reference. Both of these two things fixed to your invoice once you send it through the invoicing platform to the NRS, right? So it carries a unique IRN, which is unique per invoice, and then also a QR code. And then there is also the calculation that's also involved from the APIs as well, which you can then immediately see what your calculations look like and what your VAT needs to be and stuff like that, tax category and such. Now, invoice This is also when you draft it and you send it, it's either completed or failed. We'll send you the information back and tell you why, if it failed, why it has failed. All of those things are also part of the features that you get. This is for people who are a bit more technical. This is a schematic diagram of how e-invoicing works. So you can see that basically there is an accounting system on this side, on this left side, the left side of my screen. There's an accounting system here. Then there is Digitax in the middle. Here, there will be a layer of efficacy somewhere here. But we didn't consider efficacy when we were making this diagram. So just forgive me. But there is a layer here that we say efficacy here. And then we say Digitax, and then we see the FRS as well, which is, and then you can see all the arrows showing how the information flows back and forth between all of those different platforms as well. So that's what this is a snapshot of what the solutions architecture looks like as well. And then for you to get enabled, like I mentioned that there's a platform that the NRS has built, which you have to go and create an account on that platform and then connect it to your NDS and to your profile. So this is the link to that platform here. If there's a link, it's also here. Then there's also instructions on how to get fully enabled, right? From anyone like this. So you can see that here as well. So for people who are technical on the call, maybe you are a software engineer, our API reference, if you click API reference, you can also immediately see what the API references are like. This is also another schematic diagram that pretty much just describes, very rudimentarily how the systems work. You can see the parameters of the API. You can see the transaction status, callback URLs. I'm speaking to technical people now, so I know that some people are lost at this point. But I also wanted to just, make sure that I'm speaking some technical language to people who might be technical, who might understand what some of these things mean, who are on the call. So ignore me if you are not a technical person. All of this sound like jargon, so just roll with it, okay? So you have all of these callback URLs, you have transaction status notifications, you have errors and other HTTP codes, and then you have reference codes, HSN, all of those things. You have post endpoints, you have get endpoints, you have all of these things. You have featured detailed sales endpoints. All of these are endpoints on the APIs that enable you. Again, if you are not a technical person, apologies for giving you a headache, because trust me, some of these things can be headache inducing if you don't know what they mean. And then, of course, you have the actual APIs themselves, right? So there's a resources API. This is the API itself, which you use for a technical integration. We also have a testing feature on this right side of the screen here. Again, for technical people, if you want to do like a proper test, you want to send a payload using an API key and such, you can use this right side to sort of test. And then there's a way you generate an API key from the dashboard and put it in here so that you can see PDFs of what you do with code, just like you would send instructions or send a payload from Postman. And then you can see all the different endpoints that are available on the APIs, countries, currencies, tax categories, all of these are get endpoints. And then if you go to the business, you can see which endpoints are get, which of them are post. So as you can see here, you see that parties, get NRS parties is a get endpoint, create party is a post, right? And then update a business party is a put endpoint, all those kinds of things. All of the endpoints are here, very detailed, very explanatory. There's even English explanation of what all of these things mean. And then at Digitax, we have a change log. So every time we do an upgrade, we update it here. And you can immediately see what it means, again, in English language, right? What are the things that have changed? What update have we done? And what does that mean for you as a user of the digital process? So you can immediately see all of this here as well. So if you are a technical person, I know that we've gotten some technical or hints around some technical questions on the call. So you can go to that website that I posted and just read through. It's very comprehensive. So just read through, get a lot of context around the technical implementation and how it works, how it connects to your ERPs, and then you can become a lot more knowledgeable. So you can begin your integration by yourself without someone talking to me at all, because all the tools are here. You just talk to Efficacy, and once you have a conversation with Efficacy, they will walk you through, or they will reach out to us to walk you through how some of these things work. I don't know if we have any technical person on the call who may have one or two technical questions. I'm not a fully technical person anymore, so There are some answers, there are some questions that I can't answer, but I know that there are some basic ones that I can take. So if you have any technical questions, please answer. But I'm going to go from this page now and go to the second link, which is the Digitax dashboard itself, which I'm also going to show you how it works. So this is more familiar. This is something that will be more familiar to a lot of non-technical people. It just shows you all the features that are available on the technical side, all of those things that you are seeing in jargon, in code. How it actually works from an interface perspective is what this dashboard shows you. But before I jump into that, do we have any questions about anything so far? Anyone? Any questions? No questions? Okay, excellent. So let me go. I know that we have about 30 minutes or so for on the call, so I'm going to quickly rush through this demo so that we can get the meat of it. So this is what it looks like. If you go to Digitax.tech, this is what shows up, which is what opens up. If you can see Digitax.tech at the top, this is what opens up here. Here, if you don't already have an account, you can sign up. But this is for efficacy. Will probably handle all of this for you, so that then they just send you invites to your business account on the efficacy profile so that you can sign up to it. But I'm going to log in now and show you what that process looks like. So because I already have an account, I am logging in as we speak. I need to put in a code for my authenticator, so give me 1 second, please. This is also part of the security that's available on the platform. When you are logging in, there's 2-factor authentication enabled to make sure that it is actually you and nobody logging into your profile without your consent. So now we have this page. If you are a new user, this entire page, all of this thing will not be here. It will be blank. You have a blank page, right? But because I have created accounts before to show people how it works, that's why you have this page populated. I actually even also have an account that we created for efficacy prior, but I'm going to go back now and create a new efficacy profile just to sort of show you how the things work from scratch, right? So this is the Digitax dashboard, like I mentioned. So I'm going to create, so efficacy has a profile here. We have worked with some of the efficacy in the past, and I've done demos also with efficacy using this account. That's why you see the profile here. But ideally, if I come here and I say add profile, and I say efficacy, yeah, if I say efficacy limited, and I say it's a business profile, I select Nigeria. If I say save profile, the profile automatically shows up on the dashboard. And then I can then come here. Now, under this platform under this profile of efficacy, I just click through to the efficacy profile that I created, this profile. I just click through to it, and it brought me here. So under this profile, under efficacy, this is where all the businesses that wants to work with efficacy for their e-invoicing compliance, this is where they now sign up. So let's say that Olumide Industries, sorry, tax ID. I need to put in tax ID. So you put in the tax ID here. This is a dummy number, but I'm just showing you how it works. This is a demo, so ignore the numbers that I put in. But this is your tax ID. Then let's say Olumide Enterprises is working with efficacy for their e-invoicing. Olumide Industries come here and says, or efficacy comes here and says add business. They add Olumide Industries. Let's say there's another business called that has tax ID of 22222, that is called. Let's say it is called Mr. King Nigeria Limited. Mr. King Nigeria Limited. So click that, we add it, it also shows up. Mr. King Nigeria Limited also shows up. Let's say there's another business called, what else can we use? Just to sort of give you a sense of how this works, but I think you get the idea. So let's say there's another business called Mr. Michael PLC that has tax ID of 3333333. Mr. Michael PLC, right? You add that as well, this also shows up. Now, what efficacy then does is that they come to this place and they give you access. They give me, as Olumide, who works at Olumide Industries, access to this particular business profile using my email. They give Mr. Aki, who works at Mr. Aki Nigeria Limited, access to this business profile using his email. And then they give Mr. Michael, who works at Mr. Michael PSC, access to this profile using emails. So suddenly, everybody who works with efficacy has access to their own specific profile. and they can now begin to create invoices. Before I go to show you how creating an invoice works, that I know that I mentioned just prior that you have to create an account on the MBS right now before you are enabled for e-invoicing. When you create that account on the MBS, in fact, let me show what that link looks like, just so that everyone's clear as to how it works. So I'll quickly share something else before I come back to here. So when you go to e-invoicing.nrs.gov.ng, this is what you see. And then when you come here, when you come to this page, you can fill out all the information that's available here. To e-invoicing, fill out all the information that's available on this page. So if you go to enablements, sorry. So if you come here and you say get enabled for e-invoicing, this is where you go. So you go to e-invoice.nrs.gov.ng, then you come to get enabled for e-invoicing to show you this form. So you fill out this form with the details of your business. When you fill out all of these forms, tax allocation number, your industry, ERP solution. If there's no ERP solution, you can just say none, or you can say others. Reporting method, if it's near real time or in real time. Real time means that you are doing an integration to your ERP. Near real time means you are using other solutions, sort of like the digital ERP. And then put your aggregate turnover details, all of these things. And then when you say submit data, it sends an email to the email address. It sends an OTP to the email address that is attached to your tax formats. So when you get that OTP, then you come here and say account login. I mean, when you get that OTP, you choose a password. You click the link that comes with it, and then it says choose a password. When you choose that password and you set that password, then you come in here and you log in. When you log in there will be a portion. There is now a portion on that website where we will now copy what we call entity ID and cryptographic key. So again, efficacy would the folks at efficacy would be gracious enough to walk you through how this works. But if you come to your business here, if efficacy people come to your business here on the dashboard and they click these 3 dots at the top and they go to update taxpayer details, this one is a placeholder. The actual one, you will copy it from the NRS platform and paste it here. And then this cryptographic key as well, you will download it from the NRS platform that I just showed you and place it here as well. When you say save, then your business profile on the Digitax is automatically connected to your profile on the NRS. So now you can start generating invoices from here. So I'm going to now click into Mr. Michael to show you how invoice generation works and also to explain how all of these things go. Now, if you are doing an integration to your ERP, you will need what is called an API key. Again, technical people will understand what this means better than non-technical folks. Or you need what is called an API key. So you come to integrations tab within your business. As you can see, we are inside Mr. Michael PLC here. So if you come to the integrations tab, you see add an API key. Let us create it just to show you how that works. So let's say Mr. Michael, let's name it Mr. Michael PLC. Let's say Zoho ERP API key. Okay? And then we say create API and we say generate code. This code, you need it to do an integration to your Zoho to be able to send instructions from that ERP or send invoice generation instructions from that ERP to the MBS platform via the Digitax dashboard. So once you generate that API key, you use it in your integration. If you are integrating directly with an ERP that you currently have. If you do not have an ERP, you can leave that integration tab alone and you can go to invoices tab to start creating invoices immediately, right? So also just to walk you through how that works, these batches, I'm going to come back to it, this batches tab. However, the items are the services or product that your business sells. So you add it here, you add the services and product that your business sells in this items page. What is going on? Okay, there you go. So you can say add item, and then you choose the name of the item, the type of the item, is it a product or a service? Items, you can start typing, let's say it's a recharge card that your business sells, or there's so many different kinds of products. So here, let's say it's a product, just to be clear. Here, let's say recharge card. Recharge card. Here, let's say, because it's an actual product, so let's say it's a product. Here, let's say, how do I find recharge card? Telecommunication. Which one? You choose the product or service code that most closely resembles or most closely represents the product that you sell. There is a list that I will share, that I will also share with you. Let me also quickly show you what that list looks like of all these resources as well, so that you have a sense of what kind of codes we are talking about. So this list that I'm sharing now is a list of FRS resources, right? All the different things that you need. So HSM product codes, service process, and then I can search airtime. I search for charge. If I don't find the charge, I search for cards. You can find there's tons of different kinds of things, depending on what product it is that your company sells, right? So you can pretty much put in telecom, something, apparatus, whatever, the instruments. I'm trying to find which product code closely resembles or closely defines a charge card. Airtime. It will be in service code. So let me check service code. You charge. Okay, this should be in product. Anyway, I'm going to skip through that and just use a random number, right? But again, all of this, there's a lot of different things that, let me see if I should find airtime. Mobile phone, something. Mobile gaming. Anyway, let's use another product. Anyway, so let's use something else. Let's say that we are selling, and I'll come back to something that I need to ask people what we use for actual product codes to anyone who wants to know what it is. So, yeah, I'm just going to use a random product code here. So telecommunications, something. Telecom. So I'm going to use this one. What we share, it has all kinds of categories, invoice types as well. All of these are considered invoices where NRS is concerned. So it could be any of these documents. Anything that is proof of a transaction is considered in very strict sense. Also, state codes and all of that. HSM product codes like I try to show. Service codes as well for people who do like services. They also have their own set of codes which they can use to. But I think that here, if we want to actually stick to our anyway, these are just random codes, so you can use any of it that closely resembles what you do as a business, and then you have but we also just add a layer of like different categories so that if you also want to add that, you can. But this is also an extensive list of all kinds of categories of stuff which you can also use. And then you have currencies. Like I mentioned earlier, we support multiple currencies. So there's 118 currencies that are supported. Countries as well. There's 191 countries that are supported. Payment means you can also add that. All of these things are details that are available on the API, but also on the dashboard as well, if you want to be using that. So back to the dashboard. I'm going to choose a random number here, just so that we can move on. So I'm going to say telecoms. let's say, wireless telecommunication activities. Actually, recharge card can function under this product code. So we're going to use wireless telecommunication activities. Item category, we can say recharge card. If it doesn't exist, you can create it. And so it begins to exist. Let's say that it's the tax on it, the VAT on it is a standard VAT. So we say standard 7.5 VAT. Let's say we have an internal item code that we use to identify this product. So we say recharge card 1. And then let's say recharge card sales in the description, right? And let's say continue. Yeah. So I've added invalid HSN code for good. Oh shit. It needs to be a service. Okay. I need to use the right HSN code. Selling price. See if this works. HSN code is valid. HSN code. Please give me 1 second. Let me sort this out. Why is it? HSN color codes. This is why you need professionals to do this thing. I haven't done this demo in a while. I do not know that a lot of things have changed in this product codes. NRS are constantly releasing new instructions with a lot of these things. It's usually my team that does this innovation. So please allow me to fumble through it so that I can find a solution so that we can move on. But I'm trying to find something that is an actual service code so that. Okay, I'm just going to let's see if this works. Okay, this works. So the item says this is the item code, we have standard value added tax, all of these things. We have done that. And then we come here and you create parties. So let's say Olumide or Mr. Michael wants to do business with Olumide Industries. So Olumide Industries here. Yeah. Hosting is 11111. Email is olumide.teshola@niri.tech. Whose phone number is optional. You can either put it or you can remove it. Let's say that, because I'm right now in Ado Ekiti, so let's say my address is Ado Ekiti. So you use the right address, you use the city, you use Ado. City, what's Ekiti? Ado is a city in Ekiti now. Okay. So it's the postal code. I don't know what the postal code is. I'm just going to use it again, use a random number. Okay, let's use Ibadan, just to be clear. Let's say here we are using Ibadan North, and let's say here we are using Oyo State. So say save party, and then you have a party now. So now you have an item, now you have a party. So you add your items. Items are things that you sell, either services or products. Parties are companies that you do business with. If this transaction is going to a B2B, a B2C rather, meaning it's not going to another company, you don't need to add party. You can just create the invoice and leave the tax allocation number column empty. We suggest to the NRS that this is a B2C transaction. And then, of course, we have debit notes and credit notes. So we all know the usual. Download here refers to when another company sends an invoice to you. So let's say that Olumide Industries is sending an invoice to Mr. Michael through the NRS. That invoice will show up in this downloads folder here. And then, of course, here is the part where you actually create an invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and create an invoice. But before I do that, I want to show you all the buttons that are available on this page. So you have the generate report buttons. You can generate reports by period or whatever to send the report to your registered email. You can also filter through different, assuming that this page has, because every invoice that you create showed up on this page. Let's say it has 1,000 invoices. You can just apply a filter to specifically find any kind of invoice, whether those are validated or whatever. You can also apply that filter to find it. Here, you can manage logo. So if you have a logo that you want to put, you can put your business logo here. I'm going to use a random image so that you see how that logo works. I'm trying to find a random image on my laptop. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to use this one now. So, say save. So that is safe. The function of that is if you are creating an invoice, the image, the logo will come with that invoice when it is fully created. And then this bulk upload feature, instead of creating invoices one by one, if you want to create 100 invoices at once, you can go to the bulk upload, you download this bulk upload template. When you download the template, you put in the template based on information that it asks about the invoice that you want to create. So one row is one invoice. So you can put in multiple invoices. Then you save it as CSV again, and then you come here and you upload that CSV that you just saved, and you say upload records. Once you do that, all of those invoices will be automatically created here. But I'm going to manually create an invoice now because I know that we don't have time. So another thing to mention here is that you cannot create an invoice in the past. Before you could do that, but the NRS does not allow it anymore because they want to know exactly who is complying and what date they started complying. So it is an urgent thing because they can backdate your findings based on the date that you started complying and transmitting invoices. And compliance here means transmission. It's not just setting up on the MBS. If you set up on the MBS and you have not started transmitting your invoices, you are not compliant. You are just wasting your time, right? So they want to know when you started sending invoices. Exactly. So you can only create invoice today, tomorrow, and next. In fact, they are going to disable this 2 months. It is the day that you are creating the invoice that the date should only count. So all of this will still be disabled as you go. Before you could create an invoice in arrears, now you can no longer do that. So text point dates, we want to choose late dates, right? So we choose, let's say today, usually the dates that the transaction is done, I think. And then the due date, maybe we say on the 30th is when the invoice is due, right? And then you can do that. And then the invoice type, let's say, is going to be invoice type. Let's say this is the yep. Let's say the currency is Naira. Let's say here you can put your account details for payments. Since this invoice is going to a customer, so whatever the account is, whatever bank is, whatever, you can put those details in there. And then here, if there's an invoice charge or invoice allowance, you can add it here and you can add it there. Usually don't have that, so we're going to skip that. And then here we can say items. So now see the recharge card that we created before. We can choose it from here now, and we can say this is a 100,000 or let's say 10,000 recharge card. Let's say we are selling 5 of them. The tax rate that we chose when we were creating the item has also automatically applied. If there's a discount, you can put it as a percentage. There's an additional fee, you can put it as percentage, and then you can say add item to cart. So when you add item to cart, it shows up here. If you have multiple items, you can add multiple items to the same invoice. All of it show up here. And then let's say now we need to change about customer details. So we go to the next page and say customer details. Because we have added Olumide as a party, we can choose Olumide Industries here. Olumide's details show up in this pages automatically. And then you can say delivery period is, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or next tomorrow, whenever. Then you can say end period is also like 30th. If there's an invoice number internally, you can put it just to use to identify. If there's a payment term, let's say payment due or receipt or something like that, you can add that here. There's a buyer reference number. Maybe you have a specific reference number internally for that specific buyer. You can also put it there. And then when you say okay, the unit price is this. All of the calculation is done, and then you know exactly what percentage of the tax applies. And then if you say submit invoice, this invoice gets transmitted to the NRS. I'm going to submit it. It's a limited environment, so it's not going anywhere. But generally, it mimics what happens in real time. So if I click submit, the invoice shows up on this dashboard here. These 3 things are what you need to monitor. This part, this bit, this invoice status bit is what you need to monitor to know what is happening with your invoices as well. So now we can see that there's 3 parts of these things that have been highlighted green. So once the invoice was created, it shows you what time it was created, 20th of April, 12:54. When it was validated, it shows you 20th of April, 12:55. When it was signed, it showed you 20th of April. All of this happened in 1 second. Now, this is when created is when the invoice was created. Validated is when the system checks that the invoice it's in the right format and the right schema for the FRS. Signed is when it is dropped on the NRS platform, meaning that the NRS has now seen it and they have signed and approved it and is now fiscalized. This transmitted speaks to when the invoice is now received by the receiving party through the NRS. The reason that it's not highlighted is because Olumide Industries that we are sending it to does not really exist. This is just all testing. If Olumide actually existed and this was a live invoice that Mr. Michael PSC was sending to Olumide Industries, this transmitted part would also be doing that. I tell you that has also happened. So there's two things that need to happen before an invoice is automatically transmitted. One, it must carry a tax identification number, which is a unique identifier for the recipient of that invoice. Two, the recipient of that invoice must be sent to the NBS, right? So that's already exists in the NRS ecosystem and the MBS, and the NRS can then transmit the results to them. Now I'm going to show you what that invoice looks like in PDF. So if I come here and I say view invoice, this is what it looks like. As you can see the logo that I created. And you can see all the details. The business that created it, the actual details in the live environment will be here in the live environment. But because this is test, that's why I have all these dummy numbers and addresses and such. Same for the party. As you can see now, you can see that the invoice now has an IRN and also a QR code, which you can scan to check the status of the fiscalization of that invoice. And then you can also see the breakdown of the transaction. See all of this. Then you can see the review period, and you see that when I added the invoice details and I added account number here, you can see that that also shows up here. So if you put your account details here, it will show up here. And now, because this invoice was not transmitted to the owner directly, because the owner didn't exist, which can also happen in the live environment. If the person is not set up on the MBS, or the person is not, or the invoice does not carry a tax identification number, it will not be transmitted. So you still need to send it manually. So you can say print if you want to print it in actual paper format. If you say print, it will open a print box where if I don't have any printer connected to this laptop, so it's not. So you have a printer connected to a laptop in your office, it will open a print box, and then you are able to print that invoice and send. And you can also email it directly from here. So if I put somebody's email address in here, the person will get this invoice. So if you want a fiscalized invoice website on the NRS, the proof of fiscalization is this IRN and also this QR code that each invoice carries that will be unique to each of these invoices. That will be evidence of this transaction. Right? So this invoice is now available for you. So if you need to add a credit note to that invoice because you need to modify it, maybe you are changing the cost or the quantity or whatever, or you need to add a debit note to also do something similar to that. This is how the fiscalization process works in a nutshell for the e-invoicing system of the NRS. Thank you very much for listening. I know that was a lot, so I was trying to not make it boring while also ensuring that I touched on the most important bits. So please let me know if you have any questions regarding any of this. But I mean, we may not be able to exhaust all the questions, so you can reach out to Efficacy with your questions or concerns, and then we're able to address them as they happen. Thank you very much. I see a hand in there.
Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for the insightful session. So my question is, Digitax, is the company a system SI or APP? Is the company a system integrator?
We are both an SI and an APP. So we hold both licenses. That is what allows us to be able to perform the function for you into page.
Yeah, thank you. So another question I have is this. So this invoice, the way it is, so is it that on your system, this system is already, based on what you have done, is already integrated?
Yes.
The
dashboard is already integrated. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if you create an account on the dashboard, you are already enjoying the integration that has already happened. So every invoice that you generate and send from the dashboard is automatically registered on the FRS side once you connect to MBS to your account on the dashboard, just like I showed. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything else that anybody wants to flag? I'm happy to, if you have any questions at all, yeah, I'm happy to respond. I know we don't have much time, but I'm happy to respond. But of course, there's always the line open to efficacy. If you want to reach out to them to ask further questions about how this works for you and how you might get set up or whatever, you can always just do that. We are partners to efficacy. We power the future from a technical perspective, but they are the tax pros, they are the tax experts and accounting experts. So they are able to walk you through. And to a large extent, they also understand how this works, especially from a dashboard perspective and such. So they're able to walk you through all the steps and requirements as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olumide.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else has any questions? I think we are clear for now. Thank you so much.
Okay. So please, can we all send a clapping emoji just as an appreciation for the beautiful presentation, an insightful presentation that has been done by Mr. Olumide and Mr. Akinlere. Can we do that? Can we do that? You can send any, you can react and send love emoji, That was an insightful section. So we do have time. We are gradually coming to an end of this section. So I would like to call on the lead consultants of Efficacy Professional Services for closing remarks. So permit me to call Mr. Akinlere to give his closing remark for this beautiful presentation. You are welcome, Mr. Akinlere.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Olumide, for that educative session. And I know by now, the participants of this session, if there's anything they've learned today, is about that invoices is no longer just a document. They are fully supervised by the tax authority in real time. So from now on, your invoices won't just be sent; they will be watched by the tax authority. So those are the things I would like us to note. Before today, some of us have thought that e-invoicing was just another compliance requirement. But now we know it is compliance, it is technology, it is data, and a little bit of courage all rolled into one. Because we know that with the help of technology, we are going to be able to transmit our invoice to the NRS. Again, the message is very simple. I mean, all what you have been saying since morning is that we should try to start early. Let us get our system ready because we don't want to wait until enforcement begins. Because unlike emails, NRS reminders about e-invoicing we cannot be ignored. So it is very, very important. So again, on this note, I would like to appreciate our panelists, in person of Mr. Olumide Akinshola. He has been very supportive of this collaboration and this webinar. And we do hope that by the time any of our participants here needs to get integrated or to have any of the assessment provider, you are going to be ready. Digitals are going to be ready to provide such technical assistance to us. On a serious note, e-invoicing is here to stay. But the good news is, with the right preparation, it's not going to be painful. And hopefully after today, we feel a lot less burdened because we understand that a lot of people are not sure on how they want to implement e-invoicing. But a lot more of this system we can actually work with you to implement this e-invoicing. So like we have been displaying, Efficacy Professional Services, we are a professional service firm that deals with advisory and tax. And we also do accounting as well. And so we can assist you in doing a lot of things. And some of them is arranging around your tax system, the regulatory compliance, your tax due diligence, and tax health check. Yeah, so we are available to render these services to everyone, and also help you hold your hand to ensure compliance in everything that we're doing. Thank you. I think we have come to the end of this session. In case we have any question or any clarification to make, I'll be dropping our contacts on this chat box, so you can reach us, and even our website. So efficacy.world. So this is our that's our website and our phone number. We are just a call away, so you can reach out to us. We will be available to help you, especially regarding this e-invoicing, the implementation, and all of that. So thank you everyone for joining. We do really appreciate your time, for taking our time to join this webinar. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.